So welcome, Chief Minister, and thank you for your time. I'll start off with a fairly topical question. There's been a recent publication of the Scope of Government report. I'd be interested in your views, and you think how local business and perhaps the IOD may be able to help government implement it.
Well, I think as far as the Scope report is concerned, you really need to know the background of it before we can actually get to that point. This report was commissioned, I think, back in 2005 by Donald Gelling at the time, but in very, very different economic and fiscal circumstances to what we enjoy today. My predecessor was not a great enthusiast for taking it further, and we've had to shake off a lot of dust before we have been able to address it. I felt, though, that it needed to be addressed more so now, perhaps because of the fiscal situation that we find and the challenges in rebalancing the budget. And I asked the committee then to have another look at it, to update it in the light of the changes which have taken place, particularly since 2008. Now, this report, I really want to stimulate an island-wide, not just a political, but an island-wide debate on what is acceptable. There are some very radical suggestions in this report in relation to privatisation. It's a major step in a different direction to what might be termed the social democratic approach to government over the last 25 years. And therefore it's important, certainly for me as Chief Minister, to understand what the bounds of acceptability might be within the community generally, within the political structure, and obviously within the business community. So we've got to the point at the moment where the debate is underway. The report has been made public. The unions have seen it. The members have had an informal presentation on it. There will be a debate in Tynwald in June. Without any recommendations at this stage, just to kick off the debate again, to hear from members what they see as acceptable and indeed any other ideas which might evolve out of that. We are having our the Council of Ministers, that is having its second away day, the public meeting in Peel at the end of June. That will be the focal point of the debate there. What does the public think of the report? So there's a lot going on behind the scenes at the moment, but at this stage, without any specific recommendations from the Council of Ministers, we will be taking stock of the views which have been presented to us probably early summer, July, once we've had the political and public debates, and then we'll be coming forward with firm recommendations after that. It's fair to say the initial political reaction has been very mixed. It's far from being embraced by the majority of members, and most members have reservations about certain aspects of it, so there's still a long way to go. So going back to your original question, what can the business community do? I think the best thing I would like to hear from the community business section at the moment is in fact what your views are, what you see as acceptable. It's written in a slightly idealistic manner in the sense that privatisation is seen to be the answer to many of the problems. Privatisation in the United Kingdom may be an appropriate way forward. How does that relate to a small community? It's very easy, for example, to privatise the buses in the UK. You have lots of competition for it, you have big markets, there's ways to do it. Is that still applicable in the Isle of Man? In an idealistic sense, yes, by all means. Government is losing several millions pounds a year on it. It's logical that we should try to see if we can find a more effective way of running it. But in a small community, does that really actually generate savings? The cost of privatising the bus service, and I only use that as an example, I'm not saying that we are looking at this at the moment, could well be a much reduced service, particularly to the rural areas around the island. And the only way that I could see at the moment that we would be able to maintain the current network would be by a pretty heavy subsidy for any private sector operator, which then takes us right back to square one. It's still costing the taxpayer a lot of money, but possibly for a poorer service. And this argument can be applied right across the piece. Ideally, yes, we should have the private sector involved in it. Ideally, we should be exploring every possibility to work with the business community. In practical terms, this may not always be the best result within a small community. So from my point of view, I very much would like to put the ball in your court, frankly, to hear how you would see from a business perspective the operation of many of these entities, whether it's the buses, the Villa Marina, the Gaiety, the Sports Centre, all these other things that we run. How would you run them differently? Is privatisation the answer? Is corporatisation the answer? Or is it just a more efficient government? That's the one bit that often gets missed out of this. It's been presented as a very simplistic black and white, either you privatise or government runs it. There is a great deal of work to be done, I can assure you, to improve the efficiency within government itself in running the existing businesses. We have a cafe in the NSC, for example, that I think loses something like £60,000 a year. I don't believe for a minute better management could not find a way of saving that £60,000 without necessarily privatising it to achieve the same end. So there's lots of issues like that that we have to consider. So there isn't a simple answer, what can the business community do? What I'd like you to do is think about it, but get away from ideology. Let's look at the practical way of improving efficiency. How can we still deliver the services? Because the community, whatever happens, will still want the services. They still want the Villa Marina. These are national treasures in most people's eyes. The Gaiety Theatre, the National Sports Centre, which I'm pleased to say I actually initiated in the first place. It would be heartbreaking to see that handed over to the private sector or some form of alternative management and then having it run down from the high quality of service we provide at the moment. So there's a debate there for everyone, I have to say. There's a political debate, obviously, which will ultimately decide what the future of this report might be. The unions, in somewhat disjointed manner at the moment, are responding to it because quite naturally their members will be possibly affected by it. The wider public we haven't really got an engagement with yet, but I do want to hear what the public have to say, and obviously yourselves as well. There will be an opportunity in due course as this debate develops for everyone to feed back into the centre, and I hope at that point we'll be in a better position to decide what the best way forward is. The one thing I'm not prepared to do is initiate a knee-jerk reaction just because it happens to be the sexy thing to do today, and then possibly live to regret it in a year or two when these things don't work out. We have major problems to deal with at the moment. We have budget difficulties in a way we've never had, certainly for most of the time I've been in politics. It's a major challenge there, but when we do bring changes, we've got to be absolutely clear that the changes will work for the better, both fiscally and for providing the service to the public.